Oisin, thank you so much for catching up with us today. It is the Group 1 race morning. You shouldn't be talking to us here in New Zealand. You should be focusing on your rides. Have you got a lot of weight to take off? Or what does a Group 1 race morning look like for you?
Morning, Emily. Brilliant to be on. Obviously, Royal Ascot is a huge week, and there's a lot of pressure, I suppose, to perform and try and get results for owners and trainers. My lightest weights during this week are like 8 stone 11, and in kilos, that's like 55.8. So I won't struggle with my weight too much this week. I might have to take off a pound or two later on, but as a whole, I'll be pretty okay.
And most importantly, big congratulations as well as an order because you won the 2000 Guineas recently. It's Kamiko, is that how you say it, for Andrew Boarding? That was great. And a classic win as well. That must have been really satisfying.
It was huge. Kipco is obviously is a part of Sheikh Fahad's business, and Qatar Racing, which is Sheikh Fahad's company, own Kamiko, and it was just a fairy tale thing. For Andrew Boulding, where I did my apprenticeship as well. So although there was no crowds, I really enjoyed it, and it's a memory that will live long with me.
Let's have a little talk about your rides. And an interesting one on the Wednesday is the Wesley Ward horse in Sheriff Castle. What's the relationship like there? How did you end up with the ride? And do you get to sit on them before you ride them in these big races?
I rode this fella last Monday, so approximately a week ago, and he's a very strong American type 2-year-old. Uh, he's only had one start. He was second first time out. Wesley used me a couple of years ago when he brought over Acapulco and Lady Aurelia, and both of them won. I didn't ride them in races, just track work. So it'd be nice to continue the partnership, finally me getting the leg up at the races.
And what about the Royal Hunt Cup? Bell Rock for your boss, Andrew, or not your boss, I suppose, someone you got a good relationship with. What do you make of that horse?
Yes, he won well at Newmarket the other day. He moved badly last year, and we weren't that happy with him at any stage, but he seems to turn a corner, and he won his prep race well, as I say. So, look, this is a huge step up in class. He has a little bit of experience now. He's going to be one of the favourites. We had lots of rain overnight, so I'd just like to see the ground dry out a little bit for him. He wants top of the ground, but if he gets his conditions and a clear trip, then he'll be involved.
And if we move on to Thursday, a horse I was really excited to talk to you about in the Gold Cup was Technician. And I saw a little tweet from the jockey who rode him in France. And he said if there was one horse he could ride during Royal Ascot, it would be Technician. Are you as excited as he is?
He races very lazily, and obviously the Ascot Gold Cup is 2.5 miles, so it helps if they like to don't pull, that's for sure. Uh, he's a horse who's improving. His work is always very moderate. He works pretty slowly in the mornings, so it's hard to gauge where he is, but he looks healthy and happy, and he's going to start second favourite. He would enjoy any rain we get. He's won on heavy ground. So, to dethrone Stradivarius, who's won the race for the last 2 years, is going to be difficult, but I think he has a chance.
And what about staying over the longer distance as well? Because the Group 1 that he won, I just noted, was a mile 7, but he's got to go a bit further in the Gold Cup, hasn't he?
Yeah, he gives himself every chance of staying because he's so lazy. I don't expect him to pick up the bridle and travel at any stage. So I think there's a good chance the trip is fine.
Yeah. And then if we move on to Friday, a couple of handy rides there. Kick things off with the Group 1 Commonwealth Cut. What do you make of this horse?
Shaden, she did very well for us last year, but I think she might struggle in a race of this quality. I really like the French horse, Wooded. In fact, I could have ridden him, but that's the joys of being a jockey. I think he can go very well, and he's versatile distance-wise. He actually stays further than 6. Ascot 6 is very stiff, as you know. So if they get further, it gives you options. I think he's got a good chance.
And at the start of the interview, you said you were pretty keen to jump on board the Learjet. That's for Michael Bell. 1 start, 1 win. It was Yarmouth. And for people who don't know the UK, Yarmouth's a little bit different from Royal Ascot.
Absolutely, Yarmouth's a flat track and very fast 5 furlongs, and Ascot's going to be stiff with a big field. I actually rode him when he was a yearling as well, and liked him. He was very cheap as a yearling. He wasn't so cheap after he won at Yarmouth, but he's got a big reputation, and hopefully he knows enough. Lots of these horses have no experience, one start, and that because we've been under pressure with the coronavirus epidemic. But this fella ticks a lot of the boxes.